Yo, welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast where we cover all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture, none of the bullshit. This week we're discussing the 2024 nominees for the Game of the Year. All right, let's not waste any time. We got a lot of awards to get through. We'll be talking about, like I said, and predicting the award winners for the 2024 Game Awards. We can't get through all of them, so we'll just hop in and get some of the bigger ones, some of the ones that we feel the most confident in talking about. So let's just go ahead and start it off with the most anticipated game. Of course, I've seen people say they don't like the fact that this is an award. How do y'all feel about that?
I don't really.
I'm fine with it.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like the VMAs in that regard, like the MTV VMAs, where they have like the most anticipated. It's the movie awards, not the video music awards. Sorry, but that one they have like the most anticipated movie, or like there's other award shows that do most anticipated something. So I mean, I don't see the harm in it.
I don't think there's any reason. I agree, by the way. I don't think there's any reason to talk about this one for too long. Look, there's what I'm most excited for personally, but then there's what's going to win.
For real.
I'm most excited for Ghost of Yote. I think, you might have a couple people on the panel that's excited for Metroid Prime 4. Oh, yeah. I think we all know what's going to win is Grand Theft Auto 6.
Look,
anybody
man,
got a case?
That game is the only one that has the "we got this before GTA 6" memes going on, so it's obviously going to win.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we've been waiting for this for over a decade, so yeah.
I know, right?
Exactly.
So people been waiting on it.
So we're not gonna waste no time. It's GTA 6. Let's get to the next one. Best adaptation. Okay, this one is a little more contentious, but I feel like not really. I feel like it's really down to Arcane and Fallout, and it's just gonna depend on. I mean, like I haven't gotten a chance to watch Arcane. How is has anybody seen season 2 of Arcane?
I watched the first episode. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to dive into it yet.
Yeah, but what I saw, as early as I have, I'm gonna probably finish it this weekend. But what I saw, it was right back to where its heights, its quality,
same level of animation.
Yeah, it's pretty good storytelling. I enjoyed it so far, but I haven't finished it, so the full package. I have watched all of Fallout though, and that show is phenomenal. Yeah. That show is really good, and I think a lot of people didn't expect it to be as good as it was either.
Definitely not.
That could play a factor into it. Like, wow, this actually amazed me. I can't wait for another season. Arcane just recently came out, where I feel like Fallout came out early in the year. A lot of people watched it. So for me personally, I feel like that kind of might play a role into it as well.
Yeah, my vote is Fallout.
I think Fallout is... Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead, Terrence.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that Fallout deserves it, just because when that game came out, a lot of people, like you said, Rakeem, were surprised by how good it was, and they were celebrating. I mean, heck, it got the numbers for Fallout 76 up. So I feel like it did a lot for the series and, for the franchise. And, I mean, Arcane is great, but, I mean, the story isn't even finished just yet. We've only got, 3 episodes or something like that?
No, I think
another 3 dropped tonight.
Out.
Oh, no, 3 dropped tonight. Oh,
okay. Yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well... Yeah, I mean, if you want to go for recency bias, I guess Arcane, but I feel like Fallout really deserves it and should get it.
Yeah.
And then it's live action too. And that's a very weird, it's the percent of failure is very high, probability of that's very high. Is it just be some run of the mill. It's just there wasn't no work put into it, wasn't no love put into it. You can tell this was done really well, adapted into live action. Probably the best that you could have even thought that Fallout could have been adapted to live action. So I think that also says a lot about it, because we see a lot of live action stuff come out nowadays, and it's just what is this? But Fallout, they definitely hit the nail on the head with it. So
yeah, and also a lot of these are original takes on stories and not just one for one retellings of the games, but I feel like Fallout is the one that captures the spirit of Fallout the best, even with an original cast of characters, a different take on the story. They still hit the numbers of what Fallout works, which Fallout kind of is open-ended in that way, purposefully, where you can design stories like that.
Fair enough. Shout out Knuckles. That stands no chance. Maybe in a week or year it might have, but like once Fallout came out, Knuckles was pretty much cooked. And once Arcane came out, it wasn't even second place or even thought of as second place. So Sonic fans, I mean, y'all still winning because you got Knuckles and you're getting Sonic 3. And hell, I mean, like they got rumors of potentially Amy showing up in Sonic 3. If you follow all the fucking fan theories and shit. So I don't know. Like
the video game just came out. It was good.
Yeah, Sonic Shadow
Video game was solid.
If anything, I think next year this category is going to be pretty intense because we have that other Amazon show that's coming out, the one that's doing like all the different video game franchises.
Secret Level.
Secret Level. Yeah.
That comes out December.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. But yeah, I think everybody is. I still think it's gonna be Arcane. Everybody else has agreed on Fallout. We'll see. Let's see. Best multiplayer game. Oh man, I feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like Helldivers 2 is going to take this.
I think so.
I don't know. Like
I could agree with Helldivers. I can.
COD Black Ops 6 has done like a lot. Like people have talked very positively about it. But Helldivers has been just that game. So
Helldivers was a movement.
We'll see.
Yeah, Man, was it?
Helldivers and Warhammer definitely had like a lot of buzz about them this year specifically. I feel like Warhammer wasn't the multiplayer that was the focus. It was just like the game itself and the spirit of capturing the Warhammer universe. Why people like that game.
Yeah.
Well, as Helldivers 2, like you said, I played 3 of the games on this list. I did not play Black Ops because I ain't no COD guy. And of the 3, I can say Helldivers is the most novel experience. And I played Helldivers 1 a lot too. So I'm actually very familiar with this franchise. And the evolution they did between 1 and 2 is incredible. I can say that it seems like some people some of the later patches and certain changes they made that kind of sour some of the fan base on the game a little bit over the year. And I ain't gonna lie.
PSN fiasco.
Oh yeah, the PSN fiasco. There were some patches that nerfed a lot of stuff. Gamers do not like stuff getting nerfed. And then on top of that, Helldivers is just a game where like it's really good the first month you play it, and then after that it's very repetitive. It's really repetitive. Yeah,
it's hard to innovate when it's just a bunch of like. You're getting swarmed by enemies, and then what happens? You get swarmed by other enemies. What if I want something different? Yeah. You get swarmed by a different kind of enemies. This was space bugs. This is giant robots. You're just getting swarmed, and it's like, all right, bro, I got it.
You know what that game needs? Like, they need Xbox. Go ahead and port the Xbox. Bring in them players. I know that probably won't happen just because Sony is too far up their own ass for that. But
it might. But I think. I don't think that would stop. Like that would help the game, boost that game up that much. Because it's already on PC, so it's on PC and it's on PS5. So like those are your 2 biggest platforms. Maybe if you send it to Switch or Switch 2, that might be something to open up a right. Switch 2. That'd be to open up a new audience. That could be cool. But I really think a part of it is that it gets repetitive. But same thing can be said about COD, low key. Like, I guess the only thing that's different with COD is that it has so many different modes. And so it's not just, I'm playing team deathmatch over and over again. Like, you can switch to, battle royale, or you can do, a Counter-Strike like with search and destroy, hard point.
Kill confirmed.
Yeah, kill confirmed. So it's a lot of different modes.
Zombies
and I think
is its own thing.
Zombies really like I saw Zombies for the first time in like a decade, I think, and I was like, Jesus, this is a whole other game. What the fuck is all of this? So I guess that might be the thing that separates it from Helldivers 2 is that there is so much variety. But Helldivers just being the movement that it was, I feel like it'll win. It's sad that Tekken isn't brought up here because Tekken probably is the best one of them, but it's just
I'll say
Tekken
this
has some
about
issues
Tekken.
this year. I'll put it that way. Now,
Te-
probably the
Tekken has
people
definitely had
who
some
would vote for it probably won't.
Tekken has had the
Yeah, it went
issues,
through a lot.
and the other problem it has is it's the only fighting game sitting here, and we know how fighting games do when they come out. They get a big casual base, especially because Tekken has a story mode and all that. People will play that, then probably hop online for a little bit, get in with their friends, and then most of that casual base drops, and then it's most of the people that really do care about Tekken that are left. So we have like that. I think that's kind of the problem with Tekken sitting here with these other 4 games. That's what
one of the things I want to clarify before we get any further is that the Game Awards isn't decided upon by like votes. Like votes decide, like the popular vote decides about 10% of the actual vote for any given game. And it's just a bunch of outlets that do most of the deciding for these games. And so like, I guess the question is, how many people in those outlets are hardcore fighting game fans, which is probably not as many as people that would have played COD or Helldivers. But what it does make you wonder is with people that are like hardcore, like part of like outlets, like gaming outlets and whatnot, are they going to be as annoyed by the changes made in Tekken 8 as like the average person would be?
That's true.
I still think they would vote for Call of Duty or Helldivers over Tekken. That's just me personally. I just think that when it comes to that sort of thing, fighting games are still too niche to where, like, if we're talking gaming outlets, unless if they're like fighting game focused, they're not gonna pay as much attention to the fighting game in comparison to the other ones.
Hey, man, shout out to Warhammer as well. I mean, that game definitely has a lot of content and modes as well, and also had kind of its own little movement for a little while. And I am very happy to see Tekken on the list, just to see fighting games break through a little bit. And
if anything, it's good to have it there. Yeah,
it's good to see it there. Yeah.
Look, we just gonna skip this one.
I got a dog in that race. No, I'm voting for WWE 2K24, baby.
Oh well, yeah.
The only game I played.
Actually, I will say this: how the fuck is the college football not in this?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Very good question, bro.
Like what? Why is 2K in this bitch? And everybody was really waiting on college football to come back, and it came back, and it is what people wanted it to be. Like, why is that not here? Like, what the hell happened?
I don't know.
You gotta question them fans, man. Did y'all really like this game like you say you did?
Because it was console only.
It could be that, but as I'm looking across here, I see 3 2Ks and 2 EA Sports. One of them 2Ks don't need to be up here.
Yeah.
How was NBA 2K25? Was that actually any good this year?
Hell, I
can't
don't
speak for it because I don't play that shit.
We gotta ask Tim that.
I was gonna say you gotta ask Tim that.
I ain't played 2K.
I'm surprised, man. Top Spin must have been fire because I mean, like, what's the last time a tennis game got in this bitch?
That's a good question, bro.
If it's one game I would play, I'd play a tennis game.
Well, to be fair, Serena did retire, so they said, "Look, this last game with Serena got to be lit."
I mean, virtual tennis.
Maybe that's what it is.
I was about to say virtual tennis, virtual striker.
I feel like none of us really care this much, but I will say it's probably going to be Unicorn Overlord.
It got to be. That game fucking good.
Manor Lords is a sleeper hit, but I just don't think it has the juice, even among like gaming outlets. I don't think it has the juice to overcome something like Unicorn Overlord, which would be like a fan favorite, or like not even like a fan favorite, but like a favorite among like gaming like enthusiasts, the kind of people that will be running or working at an outlet. So I feel like it's going to be that game.
Yeah, like I said, I can't speak for Frostpunk or Age of Mythology or anything like that. And I heard Kinisugami got great reviews, but
it was pretty good reviews.
It's a fun game.
Yeah,
but Unicorn Overlord has it, art style, gameplay, and everything under the sun. It hits the nail on the head. It just does.
Yeah, I feel like it deserves it.
Man, look. Let's not pretend like it's gonna be anything other than Astro Boy.
Team Asobi put their foot in that game.
They deserve it.
Like,
you already know what it is.
They deserve it.
Like,
I'm still not played Plucky Squire, even though I own it.
I could play all of these games except Astrobot. I mean, I just don't feel like it. But I mean, like the reality, Plucky Squire, I do kind of want to go back and try and just see what it's like. But I guess I mean, like, I feel like whenever a game is nominated for Game of the Year, that tends to mean that it's so good that any other category it's in, it's probably going to win.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't win Game of the Year, it's like, well, the fact that it was nominated for Game of the Year means it's gonna has a lot of weight. And so I see this Astrobot taking this in a walk. So
let me also say this. This might be the first time in maybe some years that a Nintendo game is probably not the forerunner for this category, because usually Nintendo has this category down pat.
Yeah.
Well, they got 3 of them right here, so
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
just saying, they
Yeah.
got 3 of them.
Like usually Nintendo, if I'm not mistaken, they usually always win this category. But this time it's like it's truly up for debate, and arguably it very well should go to Astrobot. So, we'll see.
Yeah. I see it was the year of the leading ladies for Nintendo this year.
I'm curious. What was
I could see
last
a small.
Yeah, go
case
ahead and
of
fact
Mario
check
Party.
me on that, because I think
So for the
Nintendo
last-
is always
the last 2 years for sure.
okay.
So like last year it was Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which that makes sense.
Yeah.
And in the year before that it was Kirby and the Forgotten Lands.
Mm.
And so that's at least the last 2 years. And I'm gonna check one more before we move on to the next outlet or the next award.
Okay.
No. So the last time, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier about when you're nominated for Game of the Year, you tend to win other lesser awards. It takes 2 in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
It won Game of the Year that year at the Game Awards, so it's not surprising that it also took Best Family Game. All right, y'all. Here you go.
Best fighting.
If it ain't I wanted to be Tekken 8. It should be Tekken 8. And I love Grand Blue Fantasy Horizon. That's probably the game I play the most.
It ain't gonna be that.
It's not going to be that. I love that game.
I think it really, if we're being honest, the 3 that is really going to come down to is Dragon
Sparking
Ball,
Zero.
Marvel, and Tekken.
Tekken.
And it's like,
Yeah.
which one of those do you really think is going to pull it off?
If this were a fully fan voted thing, it would be
It'd be
Sparking
Dragon
Zero.
Ball.
Yeah,
And that would be
a-
yeah.
And let's be honest, that would be a fucking travesty because like Sparking Zero is cool, but it's not designed to be a balanced game. You saw the drop off in people playing it. It does not have the vibrant community that people thought it would have. Hell, I didn't even get it to versus people. I don't really like that. Wasn't really part of my BT experience anyway. It was always just playing the story and then doing all the funky 5v5s. I'm gonna take on all the Ginyu Force with just Super Saiyan Vegeta or some shit like that. That was really all I ever did with that game. And so like that game doesn't deserve to win Game of the Year. Especially not over as polished an experience as Tekken 8 is.
Right.
I just don't see it. Does anybody else have an argument for why Tekken 8 might not get it?
The critics don't care about mechanics.
I mean,
that seems like I mean, for the people that would vote, that would care to vote for this category, I don't see it, man. Unless a weird thing happens, because I feel like
Nostalgia.
all critics can't play all games, right?
Yeah.
facts.
So unless it's one of those where it's like, hey, I'm gonna vote for the game that I did play, and so I'm gonna vote for Sparking Zero. But otherwise, I would imagine most critics would just be like, hey, man, Tekken 8 was clearly the game, like one of the best games of the year. So like, I'm voting for that. So
Yeah.
I think Tekken 8 should get it. I think like Marvel is great that it's back, but
that's a remaster.
yeah, let it be a new
Right.
game, So
whatnot,
I think Tekken 8 should get it.
And somehow Multiverses came back worse. So it definitely shouldn't.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I still don't.
I'll say it like this: if
You never believed in it, Devin.
Yeah.
You never gave it a
No.
shot from day one. Just be honest.
I played,
I've been honest about that.
I don't even think have you ever played it?
I played like one time.
There you
You
go.
didn't care
That's
for
all
it.
you need to see.
I played it a couple times myself.
Bro, Rob
I
was
don't
Oh, I
think
played
should get-
Multiverses a lot. When it first came out, I played it for like a month straight. I enjoyed it quite a
Multiverses
bit.
should not get too many votes.
And it came
going
back and
here.
it was worse. And I'm like, this is just worse.
It
You
should.
What was that on the
And
right?
it
What was that
somehow-
telephone in the game?
said
No, that's the telephone from Powerpuff Girls. When they get the call
Oh.
from the mayor.
I was gonna say, bro.
I hope that ain't a character. It might be an item or something.
Multiverses is the one that I'm confident won't get many votes, if any.
Yeah, I don't
Both
think it
from
gets
critics or the popular vote. Like, I mean, like when you could vote for MVC or Grand Blue Fantasy, like, why would you even waste time with Multiverse.
I know
already
Grand
won.
Blue's not going to win, but I'm going to shout out to Grand Blue. I don't care what nobody
I was
shout out
actually
to
just
Grand
getting ready to
Blue.
do that,
3
Rakeem. I was going to say shout out to Grand
months
Blue.
straight, every day. That game was fire.
Came out during the
Shout out to
pandemic, and it suffered the most out of all the fighting
Yeah.
games just because it came out at a time when we were all at home and it didn't have
Didn't slow
rollback.
down.
And they were like, you know what? Let's go back to the lab and
did
put what we
did
need to
everything
put
right.
in there.
Let's get right.
And they did everything right the second time. So, yeah, shout out to that game.
Yeah, shout out to
Except for
y'all
the
over
menus, the UI was garbage.
there.
Like, how you make the UI worse? Like, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. That's a good question. Why did they make the UI worse? Good point.
I will say I feel like the UI for the first one wasn't like the greatest thing either. So, I guess
It wasn't, but they had
think
like
that was the
cool-
greatest tears.
the-
You see the new
the
one,
cool
you gonna be like,
background.
what?
Oh, now
Right.
this the one right here.
Man, there's one category that says a slobber knocker, and
Look,
this
it's a
one
fight.
kind of is as well.
This can go in there.
It
I know what
hurts.
my money is.
I know.
The one I play the most, obviously, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Tell you what it ain't gonna be.
But my money is on
I'll
Metaphor.
tell you what it ain't gonna be.
Dragon's Dogma.
Get that Dragon's Dogma 2 the fuck up out of here. It ain't gonna be that.
Of the 5, it is definitely the weakest, which we did not
Yeah.
expect at beginning of the year, but that shit changed.
You're
And
right.
man, shout out to this category for having 3 of the Game of the Year nominees. I mean,
Exactly,
man, it's
bro.
crazy.
Well, role-playing games to me have been taking over for quite a
mean,
long time.
Quiet as
For
kept.
these past few years, bro, man, RPG.
You know what?
It, bro.
I was gonna say it should have 4, but no, it should still have 3. It's just got the wrong 3. But it is what it is because Infinite Wealth should be there, and something else should not be there in Game of the Year. But it is.
I
what it
mean,
is.
you
It
know,
is what
just
it
say it, man. Everybody else saying
bro.
it. You ain't saying
Everybody
nothing
else
new.
saying
is. Man. It's DLC.
It
you,
is.
you gotta buy Elden Ring just to buy this.
You're correct. You
Fuck
gotta be the
outta
boss
here,
just to
man.
get into it.
Boy, I
Yeah.
tell you.
It's
I
a little
just-
strange.
It's a weird one.
Now, of the games, Shadow Earthtree is probably, if I always said my favorite games, Shadow Earthtree was my second favorite because I loved it. But
Right.
if I'm a RPG just looking at this objectively, I'm looking at Rebirth because of like the impact, the content, the quality, the story, everything coming together.
Just
And
the
then
sheer
Metaphor,
scale.
Yeah.
The scale in general is just, scale matters to these. The big shit is always done well. If you got a good scale, a good story, and a decent battle system and shit, that shit always does. And good music too. This shit got good everything.
I swear.
And Metaphor was like, even when it was first introduced, like it's so striking when you look at it. It has like a vibe to it, an energy that people really vibe with, and it reviewed extremely well.
Man,
Everyone who I've heard who played it loved it. Every single
that
person.
game.
Hell, Infinite Wealth,
I'm
like
about to
it
do it.
was really good. So this is, my
Infinite
money's
Wealth
on
is
Metaphor, but I
Arcane
really
really
want
good.
Rebirth. And Rebirth, I think, does have a shot. I think Rebirth
It
does have a
needs to
shot.
be Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be pissed when it's Elden Ring though. You know what though? Actually, it might be Rebirth, and then Elden Ring might take Game of the Year. We'll see.
Please don't. Please.
I'm not gonna
That'd
lie,
be wild.
I wouldn't be mad to see
Twice?
Metaphor over Rebirth win this.
Yeah,
I
that's
ain't
my
gonna lie,
thing.
if I'm
Like,
from-
as
if
long
I'm
as it's
from
not
South, I'm-
Elden Ring, like
Can't
honestly,
tell me nothing.
for me, it could be a toss up between Final Fantasy VII and Metaphor. Like,
Metaphor.
I'm actually okay with
Yeah.
that.
I'm super okay with that too.
Infinite
Elden
Wealth
Ring was
was
good, though.
one of the first games I played at the start of the year. Fantastic game. Everything
Right.
about it is great. The only problem I have technically is that it's technically too long. Because I did drop, I think, 60 hours in it, and I'm towards the end of the game, but there's still so much content, so many things left for me to do.
Well, I mean,
You get to play in Hawaii and in Japan. Both you can go back and forth between two different parties because the party is so big. There's a compelling story on both sides of the Pacific. There's so much side content. There's like a whole the fact that they put in a little mini Animal Crossing game that's as addicting as Animal Crossing. The fact that there's like a Pokemon League that you can do, and you actually go fight like different gym leaders, but more like the Elite Four. You fight the Elite Four basically. You could go around to Hawaii fighting the Elite Four and eventually fight to be the master of the Sujimon or whatever. And then that's all without mentioning the normal like Yakuza side stories or sub stories that they normally have. They still have all the sub stories plus those two big ass stories plus the actual main story. There's just so much content and it's all really well done, really well executed. It would be my pick But I mean, like, I can't promise you that it would still be my pick if I played Rebirth, because Rebirth was like, every time I see Rebirth, I'm stunned at the fact that they were able to just recreate this game, not just on the same scale, but to a greater scale than what the original PS1 Final Fantasy VII is. So like, I'm fine if either that or Metaphor wins. I'm not too big on Metaphor, but I'm not going to down it. I can tell like it just the amount of work that they put into that bitch. I mean, like it would not be a surprise if that won. Most likely, it's probably going to be Rebirth, because Elden Ring will probably get considered for, like, people will probably go, well, I'm picking Elden Ring for Game of the Year, and so like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. At least I hope that's how it goes.
Yeah, I hope that wouldn't happen, because if let's just say a scenario where Elden Ring won Best RPG or possible Game of the Year, it's like, bro, okay, from here on out, we just need to have Best DLC, because you can't have a DLC.
They had that category.
But that's what I'm saying. But like, you can't have this game in here coming taking stuff from a full game and should have got it. You know,
or like best expansion or something like that.
Yeah,
wasn't it just last week they announced that it was eligible?
Yeah, that was a controversy in of itself. Yeah,
yeah,
that wasn't an announcement. That was confirmation, because I think last year Cyberpunk was at that bitch.
Mm-hmm. Sure, it was in one of the best ongoing categories.
Yeah,
wasn't it nominated for something else?
Community support or something, wasn't it?
I thought it was nominated for best RPG or some shit like that.
Maybe so.
Man.
So I mean, they had already knocked on that door, and this was just them opening it and being like, "Hey, this is what it is now."
You know, I will say just real quick, I will say in defense of Cyberpunk, considering Cyberpunk was not considered like great when it first came out, it wasn't nominated for anything at that point, at least that I can remember. Right. Whereas, Elden Ring, has the opposite problem, where it's like it was great from start and is great to finish with its DLC. Whereas like Cyberpunk is like Cyberpunk, it finally became the game that people wanted it to be. So it's like, okay, now you're worthy of this nomination.
Basically what happened with No Man's Sky.
Yeah, exactly.
When No Man's Sky won best ongoing.
Yeah. So I guess like Elden Ring in this case is kind of like an outlier, where it's like, the game was always good. It's just it got better.
Okay, so weirdly, I actually not only agree with Devin, but I like just in general, I think best DLC or best ongoing game, we need probably both, because I don't think you should get it in either case. Like if you weren't good enough on the first, if you weren't good enough on the first go round, sorry, it's just too damn bad. That's just too damn bad. Like
at that point, we should have a best comeback.
He took the words out. He took the words out of my mouth and say, "If you just weren't good enough that you came out, you missed it. You can't be next year. Nah, this is the Game Awards for this year, not last year. You missed it. Hey, the game good now. It's cool, but you ain't here. Sorry.
Best ongoing, best community support, best DLC. What Keem? What did you say? Best comeback.
Best comeback.
The fact that even could be a category is hilarious. That means that your game went shit when it came out.
Hey,
that shouldn't be a category every year. That should be like once in a while.
Every once in a while, there's a game that just comes out. It flops.
But I mean, I'm just saying, like, all of those you should be eligible for. But like, just because you did a whole bunch of work and got to no, it was too damn bad, because you should have got it done, because people bought your game the first time around, spent that money, their hard-earned money, and everybody, like, not everybody is a hardcore gamer like that, where they drop $70 every month and spend, and what's up, Keen?
I'm sorry for interrupting. I was gonna wait till you finish, but I was like, one thing I can say about this, and this is something that's a kind of indicative of the industry, which will be different next year, obviously, but this year, all of these games are Japanese role-playing games.
Yep, they are.
If this ain't the wake-up call to the industry, that like, look, that Western taking over JRPG shit, that shit over. JRPGs are back. This is their year. This was their year.
We in here.
I mean, very likely next year, this will be inverted.
Right. You have Avowed.
You have Avowed if it's good. You have Fable if that's good. And then there are a couple other Western RPGs.
South of Midnight.
South of Midnight might be one of them. And a couple other games that I think might be in here. The only big JRPG I can think of is Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD and Xenoblade X. Definitive Edition.
Unless Sony is like, hey, Dragon Quest 12 ready next year. Like, that'll be wild.
Yeah, if Square says that's ready, Maybe that, but other than that, good luck. Like there aren't that many.
33.
Expedition 33 is another one.
That's another one.
Yeah. Even though that's heavily JRPG inspired, that is still a Western RPG. So I mean, like, yeah, I think next year it'll be. It's just fun to see like a back and forth now instead of just like one side very clearly dominating the other one.
We ain't good this year, JRPG fans.
Yes,
we
sure.
ain't.
And I'm still trying to finish. Is this action adventure?
Can I say something real quick?
What's up?
This is another one of them kind of similar to the fighting game. This is a weird category because I'm seeing Silent Hill 2 in a category with Astro Bot.
In a category with Zelda.
With Zelda. Yeah. And I told Keem, I was like, we were talking about this. I was like, I feel like there should be a hard category or something. I don't know. I just feel like this is a weird pairing of games.
There used to be, right? But I guess maybe there's not enough high quality, like really high rank horror games.
It kind of varies from year to year.
Yeah. They put out 6 billion horror games a year. Just like fighting games, just go ahead and nominate 5 of them, and then like the actually good one, because that's how it usually works every year with fighting games. They have 5 fighting games, and maybe in a good year there's 2 good ones. And very rarely there might be 3, but usually it's just 1 good one and 4 pieces of trash. And like you just let the good one win and we move on. But yeah, that's definitely what should be happening here. Silent Hill has no place being in best action adventure game. Is it even really actiony like that?
Well, I mean, the way they remade it, it kind of is to an extent.
They did make it a little.
They changed some mechanics. Yeah,
my bad.
But I would have loved it to be Prince of Persia because I know what that studio went through.
That game was good, man.
And the game was really good and like high quality, and nobody believed in it, but it was still good. I would love that to be like, hey, give these people their appreciation.
I 1000% agree with you, but we all know what's going to win here.
Yeah,
Astro.
Yeah,
PlayStation's new mascot.
I mean, it's a really good game. It's like one of those things where it's like you just can't deny when a game is really good. It's like, hey, it's gonna shine in all these categories.
Yeah,
it ain't gonna be outlaws. I know that,
man.
Love it.
Hey, yo,
look on his very expressive face. He's like, y'all know y'all ain't winning. Come on, man.
Zelda can't catch a break lately.
Why is that?
Because Tears of the Kingdom didn't win much of shit last year.
Oh.
And Echoes of Wisdom is a very solid video game. I think it's like an 86.
Yeah, it was
something
like 86,
on Metacritic.
85 on Metacritic.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And then like it's not gonna win anything either. So it's like, what's happening, man? This is wild. Would you say, Devin?
Everything?
No, I wanted to play this. I will say though, if you had maybe like Tears of the Kingdom versus Astro Bot, it'd probably be more of a slug because I feel like I love the old school style games, like the more top down, but I feel like people gonna be like, well, you know, Astro Bot's a full realized 3D platformer. It's got all this creative stuff going on, and you know, but I mean, it's unfortunate. I think he's gonna win. I mean, look at his face. He's like, hey man, I got my little pal here, baby. We taking the Game Awards, baby.
It's also one of those things where it's a case of polish. It's like Zelda, unfortunately, because it's coming out at the end of the Switch's life cycle, is not as polished as Astro Bot is. I mean, it just is what it is, you know.
I like that none of us brought up Star Wars Outlaws.
It's not going to win. That's
why I brought up. Let's be real, man.
After apparently it's getting updated like crazy now.
Yeah, it's on its 4th update, and they just launched a DLC to go along with the 4th major update.
They did.
I think maybe next
year. They're still supporting it.
They'll still be supporting it. Maybe it can win best continuing game, which again, I'm in favor of that. Like if you manage to bring your game around and make it like and there's an award for that, that's cool. Yeah. But like all this nonsense of, hey man, you know, we was trash 2 years ago and now like, nah, like you should, cause like people spent their money and like now they just, cause I was seeing this earlier today. The creator of Dishonored, he went off and made his own studio and he made Weird West. And so he was on Twitter and he was talking about, man, all you have to do is make a polished AAA game and you'll get like an 80 or an 85 on Metacritic. Meanwhile, a game like Stalker 2 is a 73 just because it has a few bugs and it's a little glitchy. And I'm like, nah, damn that. Okay, because now you just think you're entitled to people's money just because you made a creative video game.
What was that studio that was essentially kind of like making excuses like, yeah, you should have rated our game higher? Boken?
Slitterhead.
Boken?
Boken made Slitterhead.
Boken,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that what they said?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially they were IGN had an article about why we need more studios
Creative
outside like the
games.
AAA space, and
I agree.
Bokeh commented on it saying like, well, maybe you all should have rated our game higher then.
Maybe y'all should have made a better game then. How about
Maybe
that?
you should have made a better damn game. And thank you, Devin, because like I was seeing so many people like, yeah, they told IGN. I'm like, man, they ain't tell IGN shit. Make a better fucking game. Like, I'm tired of this shit. Like, I respect devs and like the hard work that they put in, and they definitely shouldn't be having a crunch like they've been crunching. But that does not absolve you from making a good product, a functioning product. Because I don't give a damn how creative your shit is if every time I play it, it's crashing or I got to deal with some silly ass bugs that make the experience worse. Like, people spent they hard earned money on that, and these games is not cheap. And moreover, not only are they not cheap, but there are so many other games. And so, like, I could pick something else at any moment and move the fuck on from your shit. And then just forget, like, if I see a bunch of glitches in your game looking at footage and I'm like, well, I guess I won't buy that. Guess what? Like, people not coming back. And then you might come out and be like, oh, well, we fixed it now. It's like, well, it's too late. I'd have moved on to something else. Or it's too late. I spent that little budget. Like, I only had enough money for like 4 video games in my budget for the year. You know, for whatever reason,
Very
like
reasonable.
people might be adults with kids and shit like that, and they can't just be spending money on video games all the time. Or they might just be like not have a lot of money in general. Whatever the reason, like once they move on, they've moved on. And so like the idea that you just should get to put out like but it's really creative, but it's glitchy as fuck. Like, no, forget all of that.
Yeah.
So Star Wars Outlaws, that shit not gonna win anything here.
No.
It's most likely gonna be Astrobot, which is both a
Disappointing
great
because
game
that was
and
one
a
of my
polished
most
game.
anticipated games of the year. I'm just gonna wait till they're done with these updates and shit. They're gonna probably make the game better.
And cheaper.
Yeah.
So, yep, I agree.
Black Friday next week. Let's go.
It's already 25% off right now. So
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Best action game. Why is Call of Duty here?
Probably Wukong. I mean, that's
Call of Duty somehow slips
Yeah.
into this category almost every time, doesn't
It
it?
does have action.
the
It
campaign.
does have action.
The
It's
campaign.
Yeah, the campaign. Yeah.
If it didn't have a campaign, it wouldn't be here. And this year's campaign apparently was very well received.
It was.
I've actually.
They need to get rid of action and action adventure, and then get like some best shooter, best character
I swear
action.
they've had them before.
I thought they used to have that.
They probably did.
That's why I say the
categorizations.
categorizations are getting kind of weird now.
I have heard
think
people make the argument that
convincing. That's
action,
what they're
adventure,
doing.
and action should be revised in some way.
I just feel like something's going on in the industry where, or at least with these awards, where like there are certain years they just don't have enough of like top level award winning of that category that they have to smush them in other categories. If they were like, if there was a new Battlefield and a new Black Ops and maybe freaking what's that game that
Halo, Gears,
somebody, they all came out the same year, then it would be best shooter. That would be a hard category, easy.
I mean, I've heard people make the argument that maybe the Game Award should go to more like an Oscar format, and I'm not sure about that either. But
I've seen that argument, and I disagree because it's like the Game Awards aren't the Oscars. Bottom line is like I want to know what y'all think the best RPG of the year is. Like there are some best game direction and best sound design and best stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like I mean, people want to know what the best fighting game is, what the best shooter is, and like that's to that point. Like best sports game, we do that every year, and a lot of years it just be some trash. It'd be like maybe one good game at best.
The rest of them was just dead.
The only reason they do it every year is because all sports games, most of them are annualized. They come out every year.
So we have guaranteed nominees for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they did a little dive in, I'm sure they could find some indie games that. But I guess it comes down to like what the the committees all nominate. So I guess that's the problem.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
In this case, my vote is Wukong.
Black.
My vote is Wukong.
Yeah. I can see
Wukong
that.
already won the Golden Joystick best game of the year, but that's like completely fan voted. It already won that. We'll be lucky if it don't win game of the year, which would be an insult, but
I had a long conversation with my homeboy on Friday about this category because he's a character action game guy. That is his shit. and he just felt like Stellar Blade was a better overall product for him than Black Myth was. He really wanted that to win, but he kind of understands like the hype beast and the impact behind it. And he said he'd be very upset if it won. I just realized when I saw the numbers, I was like, this shit is like a big fucking deal. We have a market that just fucking exploded for one video game.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a huge impact matters. That's why I feel like this shit finna win this shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad if Stellar Blade won, honestly.
Yeah,
The only reason Stellar Blade
win.
is not going to win is because its audience holds it back.
Oh yes,
its audience really holds that game back. Like it's funny. I saw a tweet yesterday talking about the the Nier Automata DLC, and the first thing they showcased was the photo mode, and like they showcased the characters' boobs and everything, taking a selfie like this.
That.
And one of the responses to that tweet was like, and that's why people don't take this game seriously, because you all keep talking about these elements instead of like the actual like combat and story and everything. So
I mean, well, for them, that is a part of their intimate experience with the game. They really care about the
keyword being
best assets.
They really do.
I mean, but I will say I agree that I feel like in terms of actual polish, Stellar Blade is the better game. But Black Myth Wukong,
not just polish. If I remember correctly, from what I've heard, Black Myth Wukong is like not quite, but borderline just a boss rush game. And Stellar Blade is like a more straightforward action game, and with like a story and all of that. So like it does suck. But I mean,
Black
like,
Myth does have a story as well.
It definitely has a story, but it's just like, to compare it, like from what I've heard, it's like got more boss rushy elements to it than like Stellar Blade does. But I mean, I think we're all in agreement that Black Myth Wukong is going to take it.
And to be fair, boss rush games themselves are kind of novel, so they're going to stand out whatever year they come out.
All right, look, Batman.
Actually.
I don't know how good Asgard's Wrath 2 was. I heard that was
apparently
good,
it was superb.
But
apparently it was superb. But Batman Arkham Shadow got like some pretty high reviews, so I think it's gonna be that.
Like, people have said Arkham Shadow, like, it is way better than they thought it would be. So I'll put my money towards that.
Balatro.
Yeah,
what is this category?
I hadn't played it yet.
Mobile game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I played it. I played it. I got it on my phone right now.
But you know what I'm say though?
Balatro.
In the off event, Balatro don't win this, is Zenless Zone Zero.
Yeah.
And no, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not. In the off event, the Balatro don't win, it's Pokemon.
You know what, you're right about that.
That shit,
been pulling
it came out of nowhere. I was like, holy fuck, why is everybody talking about this?
It just
because
it
everybody
just came out.
Packed,
nobody knew it came out. It just out. And it was like, oh, Pokemon on phones. Like, what?
Pocket?
Yep.
Like, it's on phones. You can play it right now.
PCG game on your phone.
Yeah, people been opening packs all across Twitter and the other place. So you know what I'm saying. So so you're right. I didn't think about that Pokemon game because I didn't hear shit about it. I just started seeing it.
I did. I might as well go ahead and partake.
They say it's good. They say it's a fun game. So like, I mean, like the way that I almost initially was like, I think Balatro might not win over Pokemon, but I think Balatro just being, and I have seen people push back because they're like, oh, it's just poker. But I'm like, nah, because they added
no, it's not.
It's more than just poker. So like, don't try to hoe it like that. But I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I think the two Balatro and Pokemon trading card game are going to be the two fighting back and forth over who's going to win this one.
Yeah, Zenless Zone Zero to a lot of people, although I think it's okay now, was kind of a disappointment at launch.
I was going to say that I feel like it didn't hit the same kind of high that Genshin and Honkai Star Rail did at launch.
I mean, hell, how many times can you knock it out of the park?
I agree. That's just diminishing returns.
And that's the other thing. They said when they released Honkai Star Rail, Honkai just cannibalized the sales of Genshin. Like they saw, like, Honkai sales were good, but it was like, we saw a corresponding like drop in Genshin sales. And I can't imagine Zenless is the same because it's action based, but like it probably
have another action game, so it might have cannibalized that.
It might have cannibalized that. And their plan was to make 7 of those, like 7 whole Hoyo-verse universe. No. And I'm like, good luck with that.
If they want that to go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. Go ahead.
All I was gonna say is even if it succeeds, like even if they're all good, they won't all succeed. And that's all I got to say on
If
that.
they want that to succeed, they're gonna have to change their approach. You're gonna have to make some games that just end.
Yes.
If you want to cannibalize yourself, you gotta have your online experiences. They go on. Blizzard taught you this years ago, although Blizzard ain't the best example now. You got your games that are persistent. You got your games that come out and they just out. And you might put some expansions on them or some extra content, and that's it. Like, not every game has to be an online persistent experience. So
Agreed. I think you can get away with maybe like making a proper fighting game. That's like, using like your Genshin characters and your Zenless characters and just like a big.
How about a regular
fighting
RPG with a 50-hour story that ends? You have all the resources to make that quite easily.
When I say that would make all of the money,
it would.
That would make all all of the money. But nah, they hard.
Keep buying these characters and shut up.
You can't even buy the characters. All you can do is pull them. So like,
come get your PNG.
Best indie game.
I really think this comes down to Animal Well and Balatro.
Animal Well and Balatro.
Best debut indie game.
Debut.
I honestly
That's how you
believe
keep it
Animal
fresh.
Well might get this one.
I can agree with that.
It might.
I think
can
Animal
agree
Well
with
might
Animal
get
Well.
this one because like it
That's
was
a
a
strong
surprise. Like the
category, though.
quality of it was such a surprise that I feel like in terms of like a strong debut, I'd give it to that over Balatro. Like Balatro is like the indie game that truly stands out, but I think in terms of when it came out, Animal Well was like, wow, this game's actually really, really good, and people were impressed by it. So my vote's on Animal Well.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, Terrence.
We do kind of have to breeze through some of these now because we kind of running up against it. But yeah, I'm gonna agree with y'all.
Yeah, Animal Well.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So
Oh,
best
just
indie
regular
game, best debut indie
Just
game.
best indie.
So this is
This
best
is
indie, period. So this is the indie
Right.
game of the year. Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
Now this one's probably Balatro.
Best rookie, best MVP.
This is the MVP.
Lorelai and the Laser Eyes got a lot of attention.
I don't know.
Oh, UFO 50. That game
I
was
kind of
so
hope
cute.
it's UFO 50 because that's just such a clever idea.
That was so
I
cute.
wonder if enough people have played it.
Probably
Rakeem, you can feel free to give us the pitch on that one real quick.
So the pitch for UFO 50 was actually quite interesting. Basically, it took several years and had a collaboration of multiple developers where you had them imitate an old school console and create 50 OG games, like 80s, early 90s games to fit this pseudo console that didn't exist, this UFO console. And these 50 games are all playable. They're all fully extended. And they're every genre you can think of. Sports, strategy, mini style games, RPGs, dungeon crawlers, beat 'em ups, racing, hardcore, like some unique kind of mechanics to some of them. A lot of them have twists to the usual formula. Like there's a game where you do a platformer, but you create a copy of yourself every time you die, and your body on the ground is your platform. Like you drop your body on purposely on spikes, and you duplicate it and you jump on it. But it's only a limited number of lives you have, so you have to strategize how many of your lives you're gonna give up to move across. That's just one example.
That actually
They have
sounds
an
really
example
dope.
of like they have one example of the
Oh,
game.
really?
It's like that famous disc golf game from the 90s. What that game called?
Windjammers?
Windjammers, but with samurai and ninjas. So like everybody has like a sword and weapons, and they fight like the disc with their weapons. They power up and attack it. So that like little games like that, like it's really cute. I have it on my Steam Deck. I really enjoyed it. I will say though, them games hard. They old school. They hard.
Hey man,
they real hard.
I didn't play this game, but just off the concept and the fact that it had such high reviews, I would like for that to win.
Yeah,
I mean, hey,
cool.
I'm not gonna lie,
That
Rakeem
sounds
sold
really
me. Hey,
dope,
let UFO 50 get it.
They must have been. This is literally Action 52, like the spiritual.
That's the
successor
game.
to
I was
Thank
thinking
you.
of it,
Essentially,
Devin.
yes.
I was
Thank
thinking it's
you.
like that's
I
one
knew
of those
Devin would
games that
know.
AVGN
They
made
had
fun
to
of.
been
It's like,
inspired
yeah,
by
there we
that.
go.
Yeah, they were. They definitely were.
Had that cheetah man.
We
Cheetah,
skipping
man.
this
Oh
one. There's
Lord.
no point.
Best community support. Okay.
Uh,
Ongoing.
it's
Okay, I can talk about
game.
this. I can talk
That's
about
all.
Does Fortnite just take this?
I think they
There's
might.
definitely a
Maybe.
chance.
I
There's
feel
definitely a chance
bad
for Fortnite.
because Destiny 2 put out its best expansion maybe ever.
I heard they
And
made
then they
mistakes
lost.
after that.
Yeah, afterwards, I dropped off because everybody
Yeah.
was saying it was such a good finale. It felt like the end of Bleach where they beat Aizen. Well, I'm playing the rest for you. Did it. This it. You did it. You don't need to make no more. We got it.
That'll do it.
It was too good. That was the problem. It was too good.
I heard
Like, that's
Dawn
great
Trail
finale.
was kind of mid too. Like,
yeah,
Some people are it's divisive from what I've heard.
it's real divisive on Dawn Trail. I've heard 50-50 a lot about that. Like people liked it, and then there's some people just like it's people got mad about a certain character started attacking her voice actress.
Yeah,
so that made me
that
made me
nonsense
look
was
at
definitely unnecessary.
Yeah, that really kind of pissed me off with the community because I'm just like, why y'all like this, bro?
It got to the point where
section
even
of them.
what's his name had to comment on
Yoshi
it.
P. Yoshi P. Had to
Yeah,
step
Yoshi
in.
P had a comment. He's
Wow.
like, "Hey, stop attacking the voice actor for this character."
Like,
It's like, yeah.
like, stop that.
That's crazy.
Like,
Childish.
he's like, I made this game for y'all to play. Shut the fuck up and play it. I didn't ask y'all to come out here and attack her. He's like, I did my job. Play it.
I don't know. I'm sorry about the Dawn Trail thing. I'm not as immersed in the Final Fantasy 14 community, but the D4 stuff was weird too because they just had their expansion, and it feels like Path of Exile 2 finna steal all their thunder.
Probably.
It could be, yeah, more than
It
likely.
feels
I
like
can see
it
that.
finna
See,
take
that's
all
why
that. Yeah.
I'm if y'all ever seen that one Mario Party GIF where like they're all balancing on balls and one character just stays in
Oh,
place.
Luigi.
It's Luigi.
Yeah. And everybody
That's
falls off the edge and Luigi wins by doing nothing.
Like,
It's not
Right.
that Fortnite didn't do anything. It's that it didn't fuck up. And the rest of
Right.
these games
That's
found a way
it.
to fuck it up. And so I feel
little
like
bit,
Fortnite
yeah.
will just win by default.
right.
That's
yeah.
that's a great example of saying that.
That's
You know,
a
it's
really
crazy.
great
What if-
example.
For me personally, I wanted to be Destiny 2 because I played that way more than any of the other games. I can say that, and I really enjoyed that the last expansion, the post expansion. And yeah, that was whack. But the expansion, my God, phenomenal.
And speaking of Sage, you mentioned that. I'm sure you know that that's really a meme trope within Mario Party, where Luigi wins mini games by doing not a damn thing.
Not doing nothing.
Yeah,
This
Luigi
one,
wins
I
by
looked at
doing
this
nothing.
one. Oh, sorry.
It's this game with a message.
Games
Games
with
for
message.
Impact.
Oh,
Okay.
Why the fuck is Life is Strange here?
that's
I mean, I guess it depends on what message
I
is
mean,
given.
That's what I'm
That's what
saying.
people was asking. They was like, "What message?" This shit
Like, I
just.
wonder. Indica.
Just-
That's the one that gets me. I'm sorry, Sage.
I have
Oh,
heard
no, you're
really good
good.
things about Indica's story, so
Right.
maybe.
It's probably
Maybe
Indica because the rest of
What about
these-
Never? Like, what's going on with Never? Nobody talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Well,
I heard it was
I
good.
guess I
I
might
heard it was
never.
solid, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, I just don't know about winning. Indica, I heard so much positive about it. So
Yeah.
I feel like
Probably
there's
that
another
one.
category that never has an actual shot at. I don't know about this one though.
Best art direction,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
innovation, accessibility.
Oh.
Best performance.
This one, I mean, I haven't gone through all of their performances, but I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd probably just go ahead and say Brianna White.
Brianna White.
for
And
Aerith.
at the
Yeah,
air.
she did a great
With
job.
the air.
And I mean, this game
But she wanted it to
was
go to
very
Joker.
Aerith heavy.
She already won. I think Best Supporting Voice Actress at Golden Joystick.
Yeah.
So she
and
has the
Cody
fan
Christian
support
won
behind her.
Best lead.
Yep. So she
So-
has the fan support behind her. So most likely, what's going to happen is she's going to win here. Good for her. Every time I've seen the dub, and I'm not a dub guy, but every time I've seen the dub of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I just smile because it's very charming. So
It is very charming.
Very
I
much.
She does an
I'm
amazing
going
job.
Brianna.
You
Let's
can
go.
tell they definitely, I
Well,
mean,
Brianna.
they put as much effort on the English side as they did the Japanese side. So
yep.
But we ain't gonna sleep on Luke though. So.
Ooh.
now this
Best
one,
audio design.
now
This
we're
is
talking
interesting.
audio design.
It's always
I
hot.
think
Yeah.
I personally would give it to Astrobot. Like Astrobot, when you play that game with the controller, like design, like they use the PS5 controller in a way that no other game for the system has.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I'm curious to hear other opinions, but I feel like Astrobot might take this one.
Probably will.
For Rebirth, they did a lot of dynamic soundtrack stuff where I talked with Devin about this. He
yeah.
mentioned where they'll have multiple loops of like, let's say you have a chorus, and depending where you are on one part of the map in just that region, that chorus will change and correspond just your location. And then you go to another area, it might have a similar chorus, and then it will change to the tone of that location. So you have a chorus line for a battle theme that fits a jungle, and now one that fits like a more serene scene. Now the one that fits a desert, and all of that's dynamic as well. So like it'll ramp up as the fight goes on, and then go back down as the fight goes off, and it's kind of seamless. And you don't notice it until you like listen to it. Like, yo, I've heard like 15 versions of one chorus line.
Yeah.
That's
It's
a
true.
lot of fucking work.
Yeah,
That's not-
I mean,
that's not
they even
easy
did
to
that with the
design.
first one. So I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
they did the
that,
first
I
game,
can
yeah.
see it even
Yeah.
being even better.
So
I will
imagine
say-
the first one, but like 3 times the music.
I
And
will
that's
say
what you
with
got.
Hellblade 2, I could see that being. I mean, that's definitely worthy of being here, just because like.
to us because we whispered in your ear.
I mean, they do that well. And I
That's
mean,
their
Silent
thing.
Hill 2 is very atmospheric, so you know.
Yeah,
And Call of Duty, I mean, I can see the case for that too, with the audio, with the guns and everything.
Hell
so.
no.
If we're just gonna go with sound design, I would do something different. As far as quality of the soundtrack itself, Rebirth got
Oh,
it's
I mean,
got
that's
too
a separate
much.
category, so we'll get to that.
yeah, we
I don't think
it
Kyle
got too
here,
much heat. Yeah.
because Kyle had that little controversy with
I was
paid
saying.
sound, paid to win sound. So it's like,
Oh,
hell
is
is
that what
that?
you just? Is that what you're referring to?
What the hell is paid to
Oh,
win
this was the
sound?
game they created the audio when you take the player and it would do like the voice stuff.
Yeah, there's like
kidnap-
something
the
with
kidnap
the
thing.
multiplayer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was
Cuba
that, but it
Shield
was something
thing.
like DLC where you could. I think it's like there's like Fortnite has a thing where you can like see people's footsteps when they get closer, so you know when
Oh,
somebody's close to you.
the visual.
Yeah.
The visual.
Yeah, so I don't know
audio
if what that was particularly, but there's something in there where you can like you have an advantage if you pay for it in multiplayer, some sound design thing, audio cues. I'm like, all right, bro.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say I need to lose because every time I watch somebody playing Warzone or something like that, they're like, man, I couldn't hear nobody's footsteps, and they just wind up dying. So,
Well,
like,
it might be it because they might have had a DLC.
Pay up.
DLC steps
now
as
this
well.
is the
go.
category that I think is the hardest to choose, in my opinion, because every single
Metaphor
game
and
here has something
Rebirth.
going
Every
for it.
one of them.
Yeah, this is one of them.
Stellar Blade was
They fight.
some-
That's gonna be a fight.
Blade
This is a slobber
was
knocker.
amazing.
I did hear
Man,
Stellar
yeah.
Blade's music was great.
Stellar
It was, like,
Blade's music is
The
fantastic.
Blade
phenomenal.
was awesome.
that
It's
metaphor, boy, the battle
Bruh,
theme.
whole-
Man, that battle
Bruh,
theme was
that-
live.
That
wasn't it?
That wizard rap, man.
Bruh,
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
And shout outs
He
to
was
Silent
in
Hill
the
2,
studio.
because Silent Hill 2 isn't as like bombastic as these others, but for the
Right.
genre that it's in, the music fits very well. So
Yeah.
I know what's getting my vote. It's gotta be Rebirth.
Yeah, I don't
bro.
blame
I would listen to that shit at work.
I
It
will
was so
say
good.
that
I don't know what to pick.
if
I
I'm a
don't
betting
know.
man, I wouldn't bet against Rebirth. So I will say
Yeah, no.
I think
Yeah.
Rebirth will probably take it, but this category is up for grabs.
Yeah.
I gotta
Look,
play
man,
this
that-
silly ass video because it made me laugh so much.
Okay.
Related to the battle theme for Metaphor.
Oh, is
Oh
it Pringles?
my
Pringles
God.
McDougal?
Yeah. I love this video. 'Cause
I've watched this like 10 times.
Because the monk they got doing it, they had him at TGS performing.
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. Let's get baby.
Even in the background, they get lit.
Look at Hulkenberg, bro.
Why was going off so hard, man?
Hey, bro.
He doing it for the Himalayas, man.
I ain't gonna lie, this game might have my game of the year, bro. I done played it. I'm buying it next week. Like, this game done sold me, bro.
Oh.
Bro, that game.
I don't know why that battle theme was so hard, bro. But then again,
Man.
this is the Persona guys. All their battle themes are hard. Why I expect less from them?
I know.
I don't know
They
who's
can have
gonna
some
win.
really good music.
For this one, I'm gonna pick Rebirth because like I've heard some of the soundtrack for that. It's glorious. So that's my vote.
It's great.
I could
It's
easily
great,
see ReFantazio winning. Stellar Blade, shout out Stellar Blade. I've heard so many positive things about that soundtrack. So
Celebrating multiple categories. Shout out to that game.
Art direction.
Best
There
art
it is.
direction.
Now,
okay,
this is
never.
the one I think that you were talking about. Terrence.
that being said, well, I do think Neva belongs here. I think this category is going to go to Metaphor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just
my
about to
vote.
say that, Terrence. I'm like between Metaphor and Never. I gotta give it to Metaphor because
Art
I've been
direction.
set with
Bro.
that game for.
The menus and Metaphor make me want to
Yeah.
punch a hole in the wall. They so good. Like,
Mm.
I promise you,
Bro.
bro.
Please
Them
say I'm
pretty
pretty
good.
good.
I'm spending $60 emphatically next week when I get paid. I done played the prologue. I'm about to throw my wallet at my computer. That game, bro. That's a game.
They are really good menus. I was like, that was the one thing that stood out to me. And I'm not actually not a big fan of Metaphor's art direction, but I do respect it for being so strong and like defined a lot of games, especially and like the UI is in particular, like in a world where so often the UI is just, hey, how can we copy Destiny? Like, man, I appreciate the fuck out of some type of unique menu screens and shit like that. So hats off to them.
I respect, man. You are not lying about the copying Destiny UI. Like, I didn't realize it. So I started playing more games. Like, this is exactly like the Destiny UI. That thing became the standard for a lot of UIs, and like especially
almost
like,
any multiplayer game,
service
especially.
games. Yeah, it is very clean, to be fair.
If you got a gun in your hand, it's gonna have the Destiny UI.
Weirdly enough, I would not be mad at Elden Ring taking this one.
This had really good art direction as well for the DLC.
It's such a shift from what you saw in the original Elden Ring game. And like it's so many environments are so pretty. And I was like, holy shit, I did not expect this. So if go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm about to say, because they condensed everything down in DLC, it's more compact. You really see it now. Like there's not long stretches of just like, land and shit. You go from one area, you go to the next. You might go from a mountain range with lightning and dragons to an underground area that's covered in blue violet. Like with flowers everywhere. Very good contrast in the colors. A lot of people like that about DLC, was that it was a more compact, more like a Dark Souls experience than the Elden Ring experience. And that allowed the art direction to really shine because everything was so close together.
I think Black Myth also has some really good like visuals. Like
agreed.
Yeah,
man, like someone like when I got to the snow stage, like how some of like the dragon boss was designed, I'm like, this is some, like even some of the enemies, like these things have like these big light bulbs, it's like eyes. Like it's got some good art direction too, but I probably would say Metaphor is my personal pick on that one.
Ooh, best narrative. Now this is gonna be a fight. Wow, Like a Dragon's on here a lot.
Without getting into any
Like a
spoilers,
Dragon was it.
It's like that.
I gotta buy that soon because it's on sale for 30. I gotta grab it.
Yeah,
it's on sale for 30.
It's worth it.
Where?
You mean on Steam or on PlayStation Network?
Oh, you know me, I'm getting a physical copy.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. It might be on sale now. I can't say.
I mean,
what were you gonna say,
I'm
Terrence?
about it soon too. So.
I will say, without getting into any spoilers, does Rebirth kind of trip a bit toward the end? Like I said, don't go into any detail about it, but I've just heard that is the one spot where people have complaints, is the end.
There was a lot going on at the end.
Yeah,
and if
there was
really paying attention, you could be confused. Yes,
I can agree. I get what you're saying there.
Okay.
Same problem with Infinite Wealth a little bit. It's not really confusing, but there are some questionable decisions towards the back half. So it would not surprise me if Metaphor just took it off that alone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at it either. If
Metaphor narrative, boy.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but positive things about that narrative.
They hammering it home. They hammering that shit home.
In a political year, I could see Metaphor probably taking this.
It's definitely been a political year.
Boy, has it.
By necessity, really. So,
by necessity.
Best game direction.
Game direction. Now that's interesting.
That's definitely interesting.
Now we can really talk about this. Is kind of an interesting take.
Go up to the description of what that is, because what they want to create a vision, Astrobot.
Oh, innovation,
vision, innovation.
I probably give it to Astrobot as well.
Agreed.
Vision and innovation. Astrobot definitely is the most creative. Balatro taking poker and evolving it into a roguelike, like really interesting structure is also really cool.
That's also innovative. Yeah.
Definitely not. Elden Ring's basically doing more of the same.
You all keep going. I'll be right back.
The game's core is already like strong and innovative and strong enough, but it's not doing anything super new. It's just really good at what it does.
Yeah.
And then Rebirth is it really did change the formula of the first game. The regions all are very distinct. It has like different
they are.
The involvement with the mini games and then the combat. There's a lot of moving parts there as well. And I did like the direction of Rebirth. I will say that like by the end I was exhausted because that is a lot of game. That's the only thing. That's the only thing about Rebirth. Like once you're done, you're done.
Yeah, I think once I finished the game and save came, I had hit like 120 hours on
I did too.
Like 120, 000.
Quite easily.
And I
skipped
streamed
shit.
I streamed that.
I didn't even do that last part. Like I did all the regions. I completed all the regions, and then I did the I did not finish the part with what's his name? The last island. You know, where you got to fight the double summons and get all the parts for the Oni, not the Oni, but the Genji armor and stuff. I couldn't beat them double bosses, and I was like, look, I'm just gonna beat the game. It's at the end of the game. I'm just gonna beat the game.
You did the same thing I did. I got there. I said, all right, bro, y'all beat my ass. I gotta go.
That was so hardcore. I like that's too hardcore for me, buddy.
I was like, I'll come back when I'm ready. It's just not right now.
But the overall direction, Astrobot probably is gonna take this one.
Probably for sure.
Oh, and just to answer you about the
I like Rebirth's direction too. So there was one island everybody hated. Man, they hated that island.
I'll go answer you about the sale earlier, Keem. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth Deluxe Edition is half off right now. It's $42.49 digitally.
Oh, okay. Steam or
PlayStation. It's on PlayStation. Yeah.
Bet. That's all I need to know. I was gonna buy it this week anyway.
It's a great game.
$42.49 for the deluxe.
That's all I need to know. Shit, I might play it today. Let's go.
It's a great game. You'll love it. Game of the year.
This is hard.
So I'll tell you what it won't be. Balatro, you've done a lot. You earned your spot here, but it's one of those. I was watching Max, and I was watching Max talk about the top 10 PS2 games. His list is cracked, but I mean, like it's
of course it's cracked.
The process of coming up with it, I kind of agreed with. Once you got to the point, like to some extent, just getting in is the achievement, and then that's you go no further. And so Balatro just being nominated for Game of the Year, that was the achievement. You're going no further. I mean, like, that's what it is.
It's just funny the way you said it. That's all. It's just funny.
Congratulations, the princess is in another castle.
Exactly.
So we down to 4. Black Myth, I almost am worried about winning, depending on the outlets, but I just don't see it. It would be such a weird thing for that to win Game of the Year. It would be like so many outlets gave that game like mediocre scores. Well, not mediocre, but mediocre for a Game of the Year. 80. I think it scored like an 80, 81.
Yeah,
like
80,
81,
82.
Yeah. And that's so low. Like most games that get nominated for Game of the Year, let alone win, tend to be like 88, 89, 90 plus.
Based on what I've seen, like that game just like from a technical perspective, just like isn't polished enough to be like true. This is Game of the Year material. I mean, it didn't stop a lot of people from playing it, but it's like if we're being honest with ourselves, I would like to think people should take like people always complain about like my 60 FPS and my frames and everything. It's like why is that not? Why is that same standard not held here?
Yeah, it's like. I just realized that Metaphor's not on this list. You know what?
Yeah, it is.
Wait, isn't it down there?
Is? Okay, I was like,
okay. That's 6.
I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, no. I remember.
I was like, I thought it was on. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Ain't finna hold Metaphor.
Man.
I'm a hold Jeff if he do it.
There you go.
That's
Metaphor made a lot of impact. It's all over this freaking board. Sure.
We said Balatro was out. I just don't think Elden Ring should even just be on this list.
Elden Ring might win.
Which is really what's
I'll say it's
real,
here, so we really have to consider it. So I mean, it is what it is.
I know we have to consider it, but as of
and it's also
right
like
now,
one
I'm
of the
not
highest
considering
rated games of the year, like it and Astrobot, I believe, are the two highest. Well, highest rated things because it's not a game, but the DLC.
Don't discount the popular vote giving it to Wukong or Elden Ring. And some nonsense happening where like the actual committee or like the different outlets, their votes get split, and then like the popular vote puts like either Elden Ring or Black Myth over the top.
Yeah, could that be the fan voted?
I will say I feel like out of all these, I kind of want Square to win because man, it's been such a rough year for them. Like they put out quality games, and they're still not getting the success that they should. So I kind of would like them to get a W in this regard.
Yeah, I agree.
I certainly want them to win because I mean, like just the achievement that the fact that they pulled it off and made that a good game is an achievement unto itself.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's going to be enough in a year with Metaphor, in a year with Astrobot. Does Astrobot really have a shot at Game of the Year?
I think so.
I
Like
think-
that game
think
is so charming. Like that game.
Yeah.
I think,
Like,
yeah.
I've watched my girlfriend play it. I played it. Like it's like it's such a charming game. Like
Right.
it does so many things right. It's not like the most innovative game ever, but it does everything so well that you just can't help but play it with a smile on your face.
You can
Yeah.
never underestimate high level simplicity.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
games that can
Very
that
good.
they win through their mechanics and their content and their quality, but sometimes gamers
Yeah.
really vibe with a game that's simple but executes simplicity at a very high level. I can never underestimate that. So in that regard, I still think Astrobot has a chance. For me personally, I played Final Fantasy Rebirth and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Those are my two favorite games this year, period.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth feels like it's a real experience. Like it's like a big novel. It's like an epic. It's a game. Like you play that, you feel like I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the combat. It's a rehash of a story I already enjoyed. So I already knew I was going to enjoy it. That's not the big part of it. Whereas Elden Ring is like, hey, we made this great game, Elden Ring, and Shadow of the Erdtree is like, let's take what you liked about Elden Ring and just condense it, and then you get all of it more immediately. You get to the point of the story faster. You get to the bosses faster. You get more weapons. You get more skills. Everything's just like, it's like Elden Ring on dopamine. So like when you're playing through it, you're going through more caves. Everything's just more intimate. So when I played Shadow of the Erdtree, I actually had a smoother experience, a better experience with the DLC than I had with the regular game. And I think that cannot be underestimated. You made a better quality of a game of the year. That's crazy. So that's why I would think that's got a shot. I personally enjoyed it. But I do understand where everyone's coming from, that it's a DLC expansion for a game. And when we come to Game of the Year, we really want the games that showed out this year and created a new experience this year. They should win and be in the running. So I personally want it to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for my vote. That's when I get my vote for Game of the Year. I won't be as upset as everybody else would be about Shadow of the Erdtree because it's one of my favorite games this year. So I just don't have that in me. I loved it. But I do understand where you're coming from. But I also feel like Metaphor just really made an impact when it came out. Like it's just like all the other games, I always heard like something was off. Like, Elden Ring is too hard. Or Final Fantasy Rebirth falls off in the other half.
Too much
Or
content.
Black Myth got some issues. I ain't heard nothing about Metaphor. I heard it's just good as fuck. That's all I heard.
I would say the same thing about Astrobot.
I was going to say
yeah.
Astrobot's the same way. Yeah.
Yeah,
In terms of polished experiences, I'd give it to the two of them. You don't have to worry about frames or anything like that.
What were you going to say, Devin?
I just real quick, the thing I want to say about Astrobot is also this type of game don't usually be on Game of the Year, like the mascot platformer style game. That's in itself is a thing right there. Like
Unless
you
you're
kinda
Mario.
bringing that-
Unless
that
you're
style-
Mario.
yeah,
unless
like
you're
Mario, and I mean you got other like really heavy hitters like Ratchet and Clank, but I don't think it's ever been up for like Game of the Year. I don't think maybe like Action Game or something like that. But like that's to be noted. Like that style of game.
The last one that came out
maybe.
PS5 launch.
When did that come out?
That was like
that
was toward like
Rift
the
Apart,
launch of the
Rift Apart was nominated for Game of the Year. In fact, actually. So here's the thing, and after this, we got to move on because we got other things to do. So, Game of the Year in 2021 was considered a weak year. Deathloop was nominated, Metroid Dread was nominated, Psychonauts 2 was nominated, and Rift Apart was nominated, and then It Takes Two won. Also, Resident Evil Village was nominated. But It Takes Two was the winning game. Usually it's a weaker year.
A weak year?
Yeah, I know, right? But I mean, like, I guess if you were looking for like a strong narrative-based game, I mean, like, you ain't gonna find one among those games. So if you want like the AAA type experience with like a narrative and all of that, all the Sony type, the games where they like, oh, Sony make the same type of game. You didn't get none of that year. So I mean, I guess that. But as far as this year, I think I'm actually gonna say Metaphor. That's gonna be the one I pick. So yeah, let's because we do have to move on. Let's just get one last pick from each of us. Terrence, what's your pick?
I'm going Astrobot.
Okay. Will, what's your pick?
Fantasy is Alive. Metaphor.
Before I say Rakeem, I will say I want Rebirth to win, but I have this inkling that it's going to be Metaphor. Rakeem, what's your pick?
Rebirth.
I
Far
hope
and
it
away.
is. I hope you're right. Devin, what's your pick?
I'm conflicted, man. Oh, I'm gonna say Final Fantasy, man.
All right.
God, oh man.
Fair enough. All right. This was a great episode, man. I had a lot of fun talking about these picks. Looking forward to doing the live stream when the Game Awards airs December 12th. We'll be here. Not for the pre-show because the pre-show just got announced as like some kind of 2-hour fuck fest by fandom and get giant bomb, and we're not gonna be here at no fucking 4 p.m. in the daytime reacting to that. So we'll catch y'all when the actual show starts, maybe a little bit before, and we'll see y'all. But until next time, like, subscribe, and do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.